Hi guys, and welcome back to askNK. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Since we've always been talking about 3D, today I want to talk to you guys about an amazing change that has just made its way to a 2D app I like and I use a lot. And I'm talking about no other tool than Coreldraw. So if you know, or if you've used Coreldraw before, you would definitely know that it is this amazing, simple, easy to use vector design tool that does a whole lot of things that you cannot actually find in Illustrator. And even if you find them in Illustrator, the process and the menus you have to go through are a lot. And why I'm talking about this is because the guys at Corel has just released Corel 2019. Corel 2019 ships with a couple of features, and there is a lot of updates when it comes to the app. And I'm going to talk about these features, and I'll also tell you guys about the things which I felt are updates that you should also, think about or have an idea about when you're using Coreldraw. So starting off, if you want to have Coreldraw, you can go over to the website. So let's jump over to the website here at coreldraw.com, and you can get a 15-day trial just to test out the app and see what it does. I know a lot of people had this fallback earlier in the years when Coreldraw was just basically a white screened app, and a lot of people loved using a darker screen app. But now all of those things have been fixed. I think they actually started fixing that from Corel 2018. So you can also come over to the website and check out the features that comes with Corel 2018. But today we'll be talking about Corel 2019. And one of the major changes, one of the major things that they've done is they've now introduced a Mac version. So you can now have Coreldraw for Mac. So just in case you're a Mac user, or let's say you use the iOS, you can have a version for that. We're also going to talk about the purchase and how the subscription thing works, and how the perpetual license also works. So you would see the flexibility that Coreldraw actually gives. And one more feature, or one more update that is actually insane, is the fact that you can also use Coreldraw on your web browser. It is insane because the abilities that you get when using a desktop app sometimes can be way more than the abilities you get when using a web-based app. And they have actually boycotted a lot of things by giving us exactly, or mostly exactly, the same thing you get while using a desktop app directly on the web. So if you go over to coreldraw.app, you would be able to create anything you want on your web browser. You can select from a couple of templates that exist. So let's go ahead and select something like this. And let's say we select the social media, and automatically it loads. You can play with this tool and create anything you want. It's very, very flexible, very easy. It doesn't lag. It is something that I've been very impressed about ever since I started trying it out. And for you to gain access into this, you need to actually have an account with Coreldraw, and they will give you that ability to go in here and create anything you want. So it breaks off the limitation of saying you don't have a good computer, or you don't have a wonderful processor, or maybe you just think that the interface for the desktop app is too complicated. Because what they've done here is they've tried as much as possible to simplify the web app, that even if you're just using this for the first time, you would know your way around it. All of the complex things that you would have to deal with when working with the desktop, they've actually eliminated all of those things and brought this thing to the barest minimum. I like the idea about the property bar being here. I also like the idea of the object being here and the page being here. If apps like this keep doing very innovative and simplified, or let's say easy to use tasks like this, it's going to make a lot of sense. Now let's jump back into Coreldraw, the desktop version, and see what they've done and see what it looks like now. So once you fire up Coreldraw, you will notice out of the bat, especially once you're using the evaluation copy, which is something I'm using now that gives me 15 days to do practically everything you want to do. There is no limitation with the 15 days. So you can actually come through and do anything you want to do. If you want to change the UI color at any time, you can come over to the customization and choose any of the colors you want. And if you are maybe if you like the light version, you can go to the light version. If you like the medium, you can stick there, but I kind of prefer it in the dark mode. Reminds me a lot of different apps that I make use of regularly. And automatically, once you have this done, you can see number of sample templates that you can work with. If you want to check out what's new, you can also find the what's new features here. If you want to learn some things about Coreldraw, you can find the free online resource here. You can also check out the galleries where you can get inspired by artworks that have been made by other users of Coreldraw, and they're just here to inspire you. Not like you can open them, but you can just take a peek and get inspired, or maybe pick a thing or two from them. If you want to install more apps from Coreldraw, or you want to get some plugins, you can find them here within the Get More, and you can see how much they all cost, and if you have something you've purchased before, you're going to find it in your library. The getting started is quite simple. That means you can just simply click here and do the regular stuff of selecting the size of a paper and all that. Within the workspace, you can choose what workspace you want to work with. So if you're coming from Illustrator, you can go ahead and just select the workspace for Illustrator. And let's say if you want to use a touch display, this would make sense a lot more for you. So real quick, we're going to jump into a sample object or a sample project that has been created before, and we are going to just take a simple look at it. And one of the amazing things with Coreldraw is once the image is opened, all of the colors that has been used to create this image, you're going to find them within the template that lies here. This is not something you regularly find with other apps, but it is here, and it is just that amazing that you can simply find it. One of the very first updates you're going to find when it comes to Coreldraw is the idea of the object layer. Now the object layer is now worked on, and it is properly organized, that instead of you having all of those old versions of layering, which was a little bit burdensome and let's say annoying to make use of, you can have your layers like this. You can now select any individual object you want to work with and see the subtools or see the objects that exist underneath them. This is something that I think is worth doing, and I like the fact that they have gone ahead to organize the layer stack properly and also the master page properly. Another thing that they've added that I like so much is something that has to do with the effect. And this effect simply means that you can now apply effect to your object in a very non-destructive manner. Previously, before you apply your effect, you need to click here where you have the effects menu, go all the way down and apply an effect. Let's say for example I want to apply a pointillism effect to something like this. I have to go down to this place, apply the pointillism, and at the end of the day I will destroy the entire shape or the vector drawing that I've made so far. To prevent something like that, they've gone ahead to create a property menu. Now within the property docker or the property window, you can now simply click on effects and this window opens up. Within this part, you can now come through, find whatever you're looking for. So if I want to attach, if I want to make it a polarized object, I can select this, make a live preview, and increase the level of polarization I want to give. Let's try some other effects for a very good example. I can come over to this part where I have the art stroke, and I can choose to just simply use a watercolor. And now you can see I have this watercolor happening directly on my canvas. I can increase the brush size, and I can do whatever I want to do with this. Once you're done with this, you can just commit this and say OK, and at any point in time you can turn it off and turn it back on. If you want to apply this same effect to other parts of your object, you can just simply click, drag and drop directly onto another object and you can get it done. Now this is something I would really like to see in other apps. The per pixels or the pixel perfect, that thing that happens here, they have actually gone ahead to fix it. And I know a couple of people would argue the fact that Illustrator or most of the Adobe suites are way better than using Coreldraw. The argument can be right and it can also be wrong. It can be wrong in so many sense. Contrary to Illustrator or the Adobe suite, you have to only have one particular app to do any given task. So let's say for example you want to do some book cover design, you have to go to InDesign to do that. And you want to do some illustrations, you have to go to Illustrator to do that. You want to work on some photo retouching directly when you're doing your vector stuff, you have to go to Photoshop to do that. And all of these things are individual apps that cost individual amount of money, except you're buying the subscription, which simply means that you have to pay the subscription for a certain suite every single time you want to use them. And coupled with that, most of the things you get to download, you end up not using them. Contrary to all of this, you have the Coreldraw, which simply gives you every single thing as one suite. So within the Corel package, you have the Coreldraw itself where you can do all of this stuff. you can directly stay inside of the Coreldraw to also create your InDesign work. Within Coreldraw as well, you can do your Photoshop work, which simply means you can take the work, you can take whatever image you have here and transport it into the Corel Paint. Now, the Corel Paint is more like the Photoshop version of Coreldraw, which simply means you can paint, you can retouch, and you can also trace your images directly in the same suite without leaving this app to something totally different. And these are the reasons why I think you should actually consider giving Coreldraw a look. Despite that, Coreldraw has way more tools that you can imagine that for years to come, Illustrator is not going to get them. A very good example I give people all the time is, in as much as Illustrator is as robust as it is, it doesn't have a measuring tool. Even the live tool that Illustrator has cannot compete with that of Coreldraw. A lot of people have different arguments why it doesn't have it and why it should have it, but I'm just saying that there's just so much things that you can do directly in Coreldraw that it's going to take you miles for you to simply do those things in Illustrator. Things like the live drawing tool, you don't have that there. Things like the graph paper and the imperfect tools, things like that, you don't get to find them in Illustrator. There are several tools that you probably would see as updates in versions of Illustrator to come that has already been existing in Coreldraw for about 7 to 8 years ago. Now let's talk about the pricing and see how that works. If you want to purchase Coreldraw as a perpetual user, you can get a copy of Coreldraw for this amount, for 700 euro. All right, so for 700 euro you're going to get Coreldraw as a perpetual license. If you're using an older version of Coreldraw and you want to update that version, if you want to just simply update the version which you're using, then you're going to get it for this amount. It's also worthy to keep in mind that these prices, they all change based on your location. So if you're staying in the US, you can get Coreldraw for about $500. And if you want to do the simple update, you can get it for about $200. So these are things that you need to consider before you get to make a purchase. For the subscription plan, they've also made it possible that you can have a subscription plan. So just in case you don't have enough money to spend that big buck on that amount on the app at a given time, you can choose to pay $16 in the US, or you can choose to pay 19.95 euro if you're staying within the European countries. If you're staying within the US and you want to pay for a whole year as a subscription plan, you can pay $198, while in Europe you can actually pay 239 euro. I think because of the value added tax, that is why you're getting all of these extra payments here. I'm going to put all the links in the description, so just in case you want to try this app out and you want to see what works for you, you can come over to the website, check out the new features and the new stuffs that have been made available. So if you're not into Coreldraw, this might be the best time for you to actually start trying it out, because there's just a lot more refined tools that you can make use of here. And I would like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Have you used Coreldraw before? Are you into Coreldraw? Would you want to use the Corel web app that exists? Are you part of the Coreldraw versus Illustrator army? Have you used Affinity, or you prefer using Inkscape? Tell me what you guys think about this in the comment section below. And if you like this video, simply give it a like and don't forget to share with your friends. And if you're new here, it would be amazing if you can hit that subscribe button and also turn on notification. And until I see you guys again with an update, review, tutorial, tips and tricks, free Friday, things like this. Peace.